Thank you, Sloan. One of my favorites. Hey, I wanted to say before we start today, first of all, I should probably say my name is Ryan. Welcome. We're glad you're here. Thanks for being with us at Church in Bethesda today. Unless you live in a hole in the ground somewhere, you have no doubt been aware of all that is going on in Lebanon. And a very loved member of our community owns a business there and was unable to get out of the country until just this past week. And we are so glad to have Alon back with us today. We're so glad you're safe, man. Well, we are so glad you brought your creatures today. This is the very first time I have presided over a worship service with pets. So if you're familiar with this kind of thing and you see me doing anything wrong in the format, just let me know and I'll modify it immediately. I also wanted to say if anyone has any accidents, out this door back toward the bathroom, there is a closet labeled Maintenance 1 and you can get any cleaning supplies you need in there. For humans too, yes. Everyone is welcome to the cleaning supplies at CIB. So in my, very early 30s, maybe even late 20s, I inherited the family cat. I did not like the cat at first, but I did my duty as a pet owner, and over time, I started finding myself missing the cat's presence when I would be out of town for work or whatever. He would just lay there all day doing absolutely nothing, just lounging. And yet the strangest thing about this creature is he could be laying there doing nothing and yet have this look on his face like he was in charge and that he had done everything. Does anyone know this cat look I'm talking about? Other times, though, this cat was very active. He would jump up on me, jump up on my laptop, trying to distract me from my work. And then one day, I had finally owned the fact that I was a cat owner. And fearing that I was losing my sanity, I started catching myself talking out loud to this cat, like I expected it to respond to me or something. And as more time passed, I realized that my cat could even sense my emotions. I would have a long day at work. I might be feeling frustrated or angry inside, and the cat would go hide somewhere. I would feel sad, and he would jump up on my lap and lay down. It was like he could perceive the real me, what was really going on inside, no matter how hard I tried to mask it. It made me ask questions like, am I really this simple? Am I really this unskilled at masking my emotions? And the answer to both of those questions is yes. We are here today to remember a saint by the name of Francis of Assisi. He is remembered as the patron saint of animals because he loved all creatures. The hymn we just sang a few minutes ago, titled "All Creatures of Our God and King," was written by Francis. He believed that animals and humans weren't all that different. He believed they were more like partners and less like enemies. Francis was even known to go out into the woods and preach sermons to birds. I think I should probably try that. I might get a better response. What inspired Francis to think of animals so differently? Well, it's the scriptures, of course. One such story is found in the Old Testament in the 22nd chapter of Numbers, and it shows us something deeply important about the idea of animals and what that has to do with our faith. And this is kind of a lengthy story, so hang in there with me for a minute. You can read along with me on the screen if you want. I promise you've never heard this Bible story before. It says this: Balaam got up in the morning, saddled his donkey, and went with the Moabite officials. But God was very angry when he went, and the angel of the Lord stood in the road to oppose him. Balaam was riding on his donkey, and his 2 servants were with him. When the donkey saw the angel of the Lord standing in the road, sword drawn in his hand, it turned off the road and into a field. Balaam beat the donkey to get it back on the road. Then the angel of the Lord stood in a narrow path through the vineyards, with walls on both sides. When the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, it pressed close to the wall, crushing Balaam's foot against it. So he beat the donkey again. Then the angel of the Lord moved on ahead and stood in a narrow place where there was no room to turn, either to the right or to the left. When the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, it lay down under Balaam, and he was angry, and he beat it with his staff. I guess we are getting to see how Balaam fixes problems in his life, right? Then the Lord opened the donkey's mouth, and it said to Balaam, "What have I done to you to make you beat me these 3 times?" Balaam answered the donkey, "You have made a fool of me. If only I had a sword in my hand, I would kill you right now." The donkey said to Balaam, "Am I not your own donkey, which you have always ridden up to this very day? Have I been in the habit of doing these kinds of things to you?" "No," Balaam said. Then the Lord opened Balaam's eyes, and he saw the angel of the Lord standing in the road with his sword drawn. So he bowed low and fell face down. The angel of the Lord asked him, "Why have you beaten the donkey these 3 times? I have come here to oppose you because your path is a reckless path before me. The donkey saw me and turned away from me these 3 times. If it had not turned away, I would have certainly killed you by now. But I would have spared the donkey." Balaam said to the angel of the Lord, "I have sinned. I did not realize you were standing in the road to stop me." Question: who noticed God in the story? The animal or the human? What is this passage and many other passages like it trying to teach us? Simply this: when we aren't paying attention, animals are. When we aren't seeing God, animals are. When we aren't listening, when we are in a hurry trying to get to where we want to go and just destroying everything around us that is keeping us from getting there, animals are listening. Animals see. Are animals here for us, or are we here for them? The answer to both of those questions is yes. Are we superior to animals, or are they superior to us? The answer to both of those questions is yes. Should we eat animals? You know, as much as it troubles me to share it publicly, this has been something I have been deeply conflicted about for a very, very long time. And if anyone here has more perspective on that, I would love to buy you a beer sometime and hear your perspective. We may believe that we are superior to animals, but the truth is that we are only sharing the same existence together. Yes, humans invented computers. Yes, we invent bombs. Yes, we invented philosophy. But we don't know everything. You know that, right? You don't know everything. I don't know everything. What would a canine unit be without the canines? What would a coal mine be without a canary? Does anybody in here enjoy truffle oil, like on French fries? I love truffle fries. Do you like them? Guess what? You're not going to like them for very long if there aren't pigs in the world. Because pigs find the truffles, not the humans. Do you really think the cameras outside of your house see absolutely everything? They don't. But you know who sees and hears and perceives everything that is going on outside the window of your house? Your pet. Does anyone here like beautiful flowers? One of you likes beautiful flowers? Jan, really? You don't like beautiful flowers? Guess what? Without bees, you won't be enjoying beautiful flowers very long. Flowers would just stop growing. We are not superior to anything in creation. Everything that is alive is sharing the same life. This is what God wants us to know. Are you headed down a path in your life today where God doesn't want you to be going? But you're so insistent on getting there that you're oblivious to how God is leading you? Without your trusty donkey, you might get lost. When we aren't paying attention, animals are. So maybe we should start paying at least a little bit of attention to what they're paying attention to. The story I told you about my cat at the beginning. I was raised in a home where the idea of working too much was almost a badge of honor. I was taught that if I wanted to make anything of my life, I could, but that I had to work very, very hard for it. And so I picked up this trait right as I got out of college. I just worked and worked and worked all the time. And when we got that cat, one of the reasons I was so annoyed is because it was interrupting me all the time. I would be there trying to write a sermon, trying to channel the voice of God onto my laptop, and that cat would just get in my way. Sometimes he would even get on the keypad and mess up what I was typing. And I'm not using hyperbole here. I'm not trying to be creative to prove a point. I genuinely have wondered these many, many years later in my life where I had a marriage that was unsustainable, that was unable to survive, honestly, because of a lot of the ways that I chose to pursue work. I just worked too much. I was just emotionally absent. I was just too into my stuff and not aware of anyone else's. And I often wonder, the superstitious part of me doesn't like this, but I suppose I can go 50-50 on it. I often wonder if that stupid cat was trying to get me to look up from my laptop when he would jump on me. I often wonder if God somehow, strangely in a way that I do not prefer or understand, was using that cat to try to disrupt some of these unhealthy patterns early on in my life. And I wish, if that's the case, that I would have listened. The lesson of animals in our lives is this: they get everything done. They accomplish all that they want to accomplish. And then they stop. They know when to pause. They know when to call it quits. We often don't. We might accomplish something big in our lives that we've been working at for years and years and years. And then we get that thing that we've been pursuing for so long, and we just see that this mountain that we're on has higher peaks. And then we start chasing something else. The lesson of animals is to get us to stop, to enjoy, to breathe, to focus on something, anything other than me and my dreams and my ambitions and me wanting to just conquer the world. Animals have more experience on this globe than we do. They've been here longer than us. And they have a deep connection to nature, one that I fear that humans are losing. Could we learn something from that? Could we not think of this day where we're blessing pets as just kind of a cute, silly thing that we do as a reason to gather together for worship, but actually begin to think, maybe God is trying to show me something through the animals in my life. There's a bird in here. Anybody see that bird? I promise this isn't staged. That's cool right now, but if he's in here for 4 more days, it's going to be a disaster. So that's awesome. I truly am preaching to birds. But what are you going to do with that? Can God use a quote-unquote lesser life form to teach you a lesson? Absolutely. It's not a lesser life form at all. It has just as much of the God presence alive in it as everything else living does. I pray we see that today on this day where we enjoy animals. And I pray we remember that lesson that Francis learned in, I think, 1182. I want to, before we bless our animals today, I wanted to say thanks to Carlin so much for, this was all her idea. She put all of this together, and that's just amazing. And Carlin, if you're comfortable, I'd like you to come up and as we bless the animals. And I would also like all of you who brought creatures, scurrying things, hopping things, cats, dogs, bring your animals up here at this time as we bless them. If you didn't see, too, we had a lot of folks who wanted to be here today but couldn't. But after the service, we'll have some pictures of them up, too, along with all these. Hey, Teddy.